Welcome to Blitz. I'm Brian Carey here with Steve Shedd, head coach of the Banks County Lady Leopards. Coach, really appreciate you having me out here getting to talk about your team a little bit.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you coming, and as always, thanks for what you do for all athletics in Northeast Georgia.
Yes, sir. It's very exciting, and this is an exciting time for your program. You guys are 14-3. You got off with a region win already under your belt as we're about to hit those games that matter the most, I guess. Right. And I know you don't care much about rankings, but your team's ranked number 4 in the state, so you got to love that a little bit. Mm-hmm. If you could, how would you sort of say that this season, I can't imagine that you would say it's gone any better than it could right now.
No, I think it's gone great. We had some high expectations coming into this season. And, I feel like with sitting here at 14-3, obviously we'd love to be 17-0. We played some good competition, and the 3 losses that we took were to 3 teams that were ranked at the time we played them. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they all still are or not, but, so it was good competition. The first probably, I think, maybe 7 or 8 games of the season, we didn't have Cameron.
Yep.
Cameron was out with an appendectomy, and that was a huge surprise to us at the beginning of the season. And, we would have loved to have been at full strength the whole season and look at those what-ifs. But, that's all a part of sports and athletics, is you have to deal with the injuries as well. And, it's next man up always. And you don't know what it's going to be like the rest of the way either from this point forward. So you've always got to have kids ready. But I'm very happy with the way the season's gone so far. I feel like this is where we felt like we could be, and we're really looking forward now to getting into the region.
Yeah, let's rewind just a little bit. Last year you're 9-17, not the greatest win-loss record that you would have hoped for, but again, last year you battled a lot of bad breaks, some injuries in there as well. But you go in and then you make a surprise run in a lot of people's mind of making it back to the Sweet 16.
Right.
How much do you think that postseason experience propelled this team and fueled the fire for this year?
I think it definitely did. I think you always want to go, right there at the end of the season. You're going to hear a lot of coaches say you want to be playing your best basketball right there at the end, and especially through region play. But right there when you get into that region tournament, that's when you want to be playing your best. And I feel like last year we switched to a new defense. And we've stuck with it ever since then. And I feel like what we run defensively is different than what a lot of teams see. I feel like, a lot of teams don't really prepare for the type of defense that we run. What you're going to do a lot of times is you're going to prepare for man defense a lot of times. We run a zone, and it's a different type of zone that we run. And, it's a so I think that helped going into the region tournament. That's what we did, is switch things up. And, we gave Union County a little bit of a different look in the region tournament last year. I think that helped. And, we have switched defenses from time to time during this year so far up to this point, but we've stuck with what we call our Syracuse defense for the majority of the season. And I think that's made a huge difference. But, last season was wins and losses. Sometimes you can't measure the success of a team necessarily just by wins and losses. You want to see where were those kids at when we started the season as to where they are when we ended the season. And so that especially helps when you've got a lot of those kids coming back. And so I feel like there was a lot of growth at the end of the season last year. We played a really, really tough schedule last year, which is we're always going to try to do that. We're always going to try to set up that tough non-region schedule. But, I think you're right, Brian. I think building that momentum at the end of the season, you carry it into the summer when you play summer ball. And we had a good summer. I definitely think it has an impact on the way you start your season.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, you talked a lot there about your defense, and just throwing some numbers out for those who don't know how much this team has been dominant this year. Averaging 56.2 per night and giving up just 38.1. What's that like as a coach, seeing your team dominate, not just on one side of the ball, but both?
It's a great feeling, when you're at times you're over there and you're up by about 20 points, and I'm never the type of coach that ever really relaxes. I can't say I ever relax. I coach until from beginning to end. A lot of coaches, I don't know, they may kind of relax a little bit and go have a seat, but I'm coaching the whole time. But it's a really good feeling, and I think it's just a testament to the girls and how hard that they've worked. I think our scoring average is probably much higher than it was last year. We're a much more balanced team. I feel like this year, and we can score in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, it starts with defense. Defense, you hear that old cliche, defense wins championships. It's everybody comes to watch the offense, but what really pays off is the defense.
Yeah, I mean, the defense, translates to offense in many cases. So,
it does.
And so when we talk about dominance, when we talk about Banks County, you can't help but not think of Cameron Greer. She has been one of the most dominant post players, seems like for several years now. Closing in on 1,000 rebounds. She's already got 1,000 points, so that's rare company. How special of a talent is she, and where would you sort of put her among all the players you've ever coached?
Cameron would definitely have to be up there among the tops. We've had some great post players come through here. If you go all the way back to Caitlin Duncan, and you think about J.C. Bowen, Amber Williams. Even a couple of years ago, we had Polly Simpson, who's playing over at Renown now. And I think that Cameron, we knew. We were so fortunate Cameron moved. Cameron wasn't in Banks County school system, and she moved over here. I think it was somewhere around her maybe 7th or 8th grade year she moved over. So we didn't really truly know what we were getting. Yeah. But then when you got to see her play middle school ball, you knew she was special. She played a lot of travel ball. And, what she's been able to contribute here since her freshman year, I think Cameron was seeing some starting time her freshman year.
Yeah.
And, to be able to get that 1,000 points for Cameron, with all the injuries she's had to go through, I think last year she missed, when you look at the sickness, and she had some back trouble. I think she had an ankle injury when we played over at Kyle Sandy's showcase over at Grayson last year, and just had come back from an injury and then ended up going down again. And so she missed a lot of time last year, and of course the 8 games that she's missed this year. So who knows where she would be right now point-wise if she hadn't missed so many games. So I think that says a lot about her as well. But I think she is just a dominating presence, especially up underneath the basket. We're going to pound that ball into her.
Yeah.
And I think teams know it, and we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And we give Cameron the ball. Say here, Cam, you
do your thing.
Do your thing, and if there are times she gets double teamed and triple teamed, I know that's a lot of the game plan going in. And I feel like maybe that might have worked a little bit better in the past with teams, but it hasn't quite been as effective for teams this year because we've got a little bit more balance on the outside.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next, is that, when you get the teams that obviously want to, hey, we're going to make someone else beat us other than Cameron Greer, you've got so much talent on the wings that just spreads that whole floor out. How big is that part of the game plan?
Well, I think, going back to last year, I think we were a little one-dimensional last year, and it's tough when you feel like everybody knows you're going to pound the ball inside. Yep. And they're going to dare you to shoot from the outside. But I feel like this year, it's a good feeling to know that we're going to continue to always play inside-out basketball. That's always been my philosophy since I've started coaching. But you got to have that outside game. Yeah. And so when these teams, double, triple team Cam, she's going to kick it out. We work on that at practice. Cam, recognize the double team. When you feel the double team, you kick it out. Find that open girl, and she does that. And we've got some girls out there on the perimeter like Reese Murphy, Riley Murphy, Addison Horde, Valentina Torres. The list goes on. Madison Adams. We've got some girls that can knock them down, and so having that balance. We're the type of team that can run the floor really well. Really kind of team that's kind of hard to press. Yeah. And so we're just very disciplined. And, looking at this season, I think if you go back and you look at, I think where we really found ourselves this season was when we lost to Raven County. And, between us and Raven County, we always have, even though we're not in the same region anymore, we always look forward to playing each other. It's always a good game. It's a big rivalry. We felt like after that game was over with, we were not where we needed to be. We were very disappointed in that loss, and sometimes you don't want to ever say that losing a game is a good thing, but sometimes when you're able to learn from it, then it's good. So we felt like we didn't play fast enough, we didn't play physical enough, we weren't aggressive enough. to be able to beat a team like that. And so from that point forward until now, I feel like we're a different team.
Yeah,
and we're playing at a different level.
Yeah, and you were able to show that and avenge that loss.
Right.
And you two are just great, classy programs. And I know you both look forward to that intense rivalry matchup.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
That's always really fun. And now this year, with the way the regions all got realigned and everything, there's a little bit of familiarity left with you and Union still being there together. But early on and even now, especially, you've sort of cemented yourself as the favorites to win 8AA. Whether you want that pressure or not, that's just the perception.
Right.
But what do you think this team realistically has to do to make that a reality and win this region title?
Well, I'll take a quote from one of my favorite coaches, Kirby Smart. Pressure is kind of like a privilege. If you've got pressure on yourself, then you're doing something right, I think. And having that pressure on our team right now, we don't really look at it. We try not to look at it as pressure. We try not to think about it. You've interviewed me in the past, and I think one of the things I said, we're going to take it one game at a time. And we've got one more non-region game, tomorrow against Habersham, and we're looking forward to being able to really just look, nothing but region the rest of the way out. As far as the pressure goes, as being considered as the front runner for the region, the way I feel and what I tell our girls all the time, excuse me, is show up. What's going to hopefully get us there is to do what we do. And what I tell the girls is, when I say to the girls, show up. When I say, before a game, we have to show up. When we're at practice, we have to show up. When I say show up, they know I mean we've got to hustle.
Yeah.
We've got to play physical. We've got to play fast. We've got to be aggressive. We've got to want to win more than our opponent, and we've got to hate losing more than our opponent. And so, just doing what we do, and I feel like if we show up every day and do what we do, we've got a great chance. Yeah,
and I know that, I already found out that sort of what y'all's moniker this year, motto or slogan is hunt for a title, or title hunting. Talk about that and how that works into the team goals that you sort of told the team this year you want to accomplish, and where did that even come from?
Well, I guess I kind of looked at, a leopard and hunting, and so, at the beginning of the season, we put a little something out on Twitter that said, time to hunt, and so hunt for a title, that's what we're looking for this year. We believe that we have a team that we haven't won region, I think, since back in 2017, 18 maybe, and back when we had Allison Smith that group as a senior, and so I feel like we have a team that can do that. And so, if you look at this season, looking at our goals, obviously the farthest our program has ever gone is the Elite Eight. Obviously, we want to win the region. That's the goal. I think everybody wants to go into the season. Some years it's more realistic than others, but I believe this year it's definitely realistic for us if we, like I said, show up. And we would like to take this program farther than it's ever been before. We would like to get to that Elite Eight and get over that hump and get into the Final Four. And I feel like, we don't talk about it a whole awful lot, but, that is one of the goals that we set at the beginning of the season. We were able to win our tournament that we had here recently. That's always good. That's always good to have some type of championship you can play for during the season, some type of holiday tournament that you can pull in a championship. And we had some good competition we played against in that. But it's that's what we're looking for. That's what our eyes and our focus are on is to try and win a title, win that region title first, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know more than most others, is once you get there, anything can happen too in the playoffs. So, Coach, got a great feeling about the end of this year, but I know you're in the middle of it now, so look forward to seeing you continue to dominate as you have been. Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you, Brian. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming.